Hi everybody, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Welcome back to our vegetable garden. Today I'm going to harvest garlic scapes. I'll explain what they are and why it's so important to do that and what to do with them afterwards. And then I also want to talk a little bit about succession planting. This is our garlic patch. There are two main types, not varieties, of garlic, softneck and hardneck. The softneck varieties are the ones that you can braid together once you've harvested and dried them, and that's because their stems are more pliable than the hardneck. They produce a lot of cloves in each bulb, but they're smaller cloves. We like big cloves, so we grow hardneck garlic, and specifically this year's variety is German porcelain. Now, the hardneck varieties are the only ones that form garlic scapes. And I want to show you up close what they look like and then talk about why we need to remove them. This is a garlic scape. You see how this stem is all kind of a curlicue. So what is happening is that the plant wants to bloom. The problem is if you let it bloom, it's going to be taking all the energy that should be going into that bulb you want to harvest later and putting it into the flower. You don't want that to happen. So it's very important to trim them off. And the goal is to trim them off after they have formed a complete curlicue and before they straighten back out to bloom. And I'm going to cut it off right where it comes up from the stem. And there is the first one. Now here are two more. And I'm going to cut this back one so you can really see where I'm cutting it off from the plant. It's right above where the last leaf has emerged from the main stalk. And there it is. And I'll get this one while I'm at it. So look at that. What's really cool is these smell so good. I can't wait to use them. So here is my garlic scape harvest. Is that amazing or what? Who knew all of those were in that patch? And I should probably recommend that when you think you're finished cutting all the scapes off, take a really close second look because I found a few that were hiding in there. So let's look at one of these up close and I'll explain what to do with them because you do not want to throw these away. You don't want to dump them in the compost pile because you will be depriving yourself of an amazing treat. So let's take a look. So this is what a garlic scape looks like. You can see this is where I snipped it off the top of the plant. It has a couple of crazy curlicues. And then here is where the flower would be if I had left it on the plant. But again, you don't want to do that. So what we like to do is we snip off just below the pale color of the flower bud. And that's because this part is going to be quite tough. So you don't want that. Then what we like to do is to cut them into bite-sized pieces, parboil them for 2 minutes. And all parboiling is putting them in boiling water. After the 2 minutes, we strain them out of the pan and we put them into a skillet that has either melted butter or olive oil in it and saute them for a little bit. It is so delicious. And that's partly because it's a mild garlic flavor, not the full intensity of, say, eating a whole garlic clove. We use it for side dishes. We put them into stir fries and into other types of dishes. These are so tasty. But there are all sorts of ways that you can use garlic scapes. And I definitely recommend doing a web search on garlic scape recipes. See what sounds appealing to you. Now, one of the most popular recipes is garlic scape pesto. That is something that is out of this world. It is so good. So that's something you might want to try. But as you can see, you're going to get a double harvest from your garlic patch. You get these wonderful scapes and you get the wonderful bulbs, which you'll be harvesting later this summer. And just as a reminder on that, you're going to wait until the lowest 4 to 5 leaves on each garlic plant have died. Then you're going to pull them carefully and dry them until the skin is papery dry before you move them into storage. This is our pea patch. We're growing green arrow shelling peas, and I'm already on the 3rd picking today. Well, it's going to be 90 degrees today. That is very hot for peas, which are cool season crops. And so we know that within probably about 2 weeks, the plants are going to shut down. It's just what they do as their response to hot weather. So we're going to keep picking them as long as they produce. But last year, we dipped our toes into the concept of succession planting, and I wanted to explain what that is and what our plans are for this bed. Succession planting means being very organized so that you can take advantage of every inch of space in your vegetable garden and always be anticipating when a crop is going to be finished growing and knowing exactly what's going in its place and planning ahead for that. It also involves planting things that don't take a lot of room around slow growing crops. So for example, cabbage is very slow to get going and to start forming those big heads. And so what we did is we planted some bok choy around them, knowing that they would be completely harvested, which they are now, before the cabbage started to form heads. So what we're going to do for the pea patch is the same thing we did for it last year. Now last year we grew in the bed right here and we planted corn after it. We use a fairly short season corn variety called Sweetness Bicolor, which is delicious. And we planted them ahead of time, anticipating when last year's pea crop would be finished. So this year we've thought ahead, and we already have started some corn seedlings to go into the pea patch. Now the great thing about putting corn in after a pea crop is that all legumes are nitrogen fixers. And of course, corn requires lots of nitrogen in order to grow and produce its great crop. So it's the perfect crop to put in after the peas come out. Now speaking of nitrogen fixing, what happens is that legumes such as peas and beans will form little nodules at their roots, and that's where the nitrogen is. So what I want to do when I'm ready to pull these peas out is I'm going to just snip the plant off at the very base, at the soil surface, rather than pulling the whole root system out of the ground. And then we'll just make little planting holes and insert the corn seedlings into the bed. So again, we are anticipating that the peas will be done within about 2 weeks. And so a few days ago, we started this corn indoors, and now we're starting the outdoor process called hardening off, where we start acclimating them to the intensity of the sunlight and the temperatures. So these will definitely be ready by the time the peas come out. We did this last year, and we got a fantastic second harvest of corn and just filled our freezer with it. So that was really a nice bounty. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you so much, as always, for watching today. I'll see you next week. Happy gardening!